Hey, Jay Pryor, welcome to iRadio.
Hi, how's it going?
Good, man. Congratulations on the new single. It's our I Love Irish track of the week. We've just played it. It's called Aside. So this is a new direction for you. Tell us more.
Yeah, so I reckon over lockdown, I was kind of toying with a few different sounds and different direction. And yeah, this is kind of the first single that I put out that kind of signifies that transition in my sound. And yeah, I'm grateful to have gotten to work with everyone behind it and everything. And yeah, like Aside kind of to me is just like it basically goes back to my roots of when I started creating music, and it was all a bit more inspired by like trance music and drum and bass and more kind of synthy sounds. And for a while I went more kind of organic and was sampling a lot of instruments. And I think with this new sound, it's just about reaching back to what I initially sort of started creating music around, if that makes sense.
Back to the roots.
Exactly, yeah. So it's been a lot of fun making this type of music, for sure.
And Jay, even in the times that we're in, you're still finding ways to DJ and do your music. Tell us about the sunset sessions.
Yeah. So like over lockdown, obviously as a DJ, it's kind of like a big shift. Like you'd be going and playing gigs, and then suddenly you're just in your apartments all the time or whatever. And so I wanted to kind of adapt as much as I could. And one day I just set up my decks on my balcony. The sunset was really nice, and I was like, it'd be a nice backing drop for like a recorded set. And I uploaded it, and it did really well, and people seemed to really like it. So I just kept doing it every week. And yeah, it kind of got me through a lot of lockdown, because it was like something I could look forward to at the end of the week. It wasn't so much a show or whatever, but like it kind of felt like it slightly was, because I'd have people in the comments saying like, oh, I love this song or whatever, and you'd have that kind of interaction. So yeah, it was really cool. And then recently I got to bring it back to Dublin, which is something I really wanted to do throughout the series, which was incredible, getting to spin in the Guinness Storehouse. That was crazy. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool view from there. I'm sure the view from your balcony in London where you are is pretty cool. But what do your neighbours think when are you like blaring it out on speakers and they're like, shut up, I'm watching EastEnders?
Yeah, so I had to have a long look at the contract, the whatever it's called, before we started, like for nuisance laws, like, and all that. And we were abiding by them, but then you get to the sort of moral side of things, and it's like, is this actually right? Like, am I being, should I be doing this or whatever? And we did have a few complaints, but I then bought these special headphones so that I could DJ just on my headphones. And yeah, we kept it going, but yeah, for a while there were a few kind of complaints being like, come on, like, but like we there's people that live near me that would have parties during the week and stuff, and like we were just doing it once a week for an hour from 8 till 9 to catch a sunset. And it was literally that. As soon as it was done, we were back inside, so we did try to be as graceful as we could with it, but yeah, with that comes obviously a couple of complaints.
So Jay, in your career, you've done loads, on a personal level with your own music, but you've worked with some of the world's biggest artists across the board, like Kehlani, Ty Dolla $ign, Zayn, Anne-Marie Diplo. You've remixed for them. Then there was the big hit that Louis Tomlinson had with Steve Aoki. How does that kind of thing come about? Do they look you up in the phone book? How do they hear about you? Do you send them your music? Is there a club you all meet in? How does it happen that you get to work with these artists?
I wish it was as easy as just looking me up in the phone book. But no, it was, I suppose it was years of just annoying people and like sending people my music, and eventually finding people that could put my music in the right ears. yeah, like that whole Steve thing came about because I was basically trying to hit up certain people and they're having none of it. And then I started to get a bit creative, and I was like, well, how are people actually hitting these people up? Like, do they get hundreds of DMs on Instagram every day being like, check out my music? So the people that I wanted to get attention of, I would start remixing their records and like going the extra mile basically to get their attention. And it turned out that like I remixed this artist's records, Digital Farm Animals, and long story short, it put me in the room with Psycho, which was the label that the Louis record came out on. And I got in that room and I played them a lot of really terrible music, and for some reason they saw a lot of potential in it, and they asked if I would be down to work on this Steve Aoki and Louis Tomlinson record. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I didn't think it was going to happen until like I literally saw it being premiered at Wembley. Like, we had signed the deal, everything, but I still, like, in my head, I thought it wasn't happening until I saw them perform it and sing it at Wembley. So that was a crazy experience.
Must have been. And so when you say Psycho, that's Simon Cowell. Was he in the room with his pants up to his neck?
So my manager would have been going back and forth on email, like notes and stuff, with those guys. But for me, it was just a case of kind of receiving notes on like certain things that I had done. We like this, we don't like this, whatever. And I would go back and amend. So it is very collaborative, but I'm kind of like behind a wall of like all these people, if that makes sense. And the other artists are too. So yeah, that's kind of how that happened. I didn't get to speak to Simon, unfortunately. Would have loved to.
So Jay, what are your plans for the future? What is your dream going forward? Yeah,
well, my dream, first of all, is to get out of this COVID situation. But beyond that, I'd love to, just keep going with the sound that I'm currently going with. I want to, I have like big long-term goals as well. Like, I want to go home and play at Malahide Castle and stuff like that. But right now, my focus is just to build a bit of community around my music. I think a lot of the artists that I like subscribed to back when I was younger, they all had like a really strong audience and a really dedicated audience because of the music they made. And so, yeah, that would be a huge goal of mine right now, is to just build that and keep it going.
Well, you're a class talent, and maybe one day it will be Malahide Castle. Maybe one day you'll be driving up the strip in Vegas and you'll have one of those giant posters advertising again in one of the big clubs that night.
I hope so.
That would be pretty cool. Well, we love your music here, Jay. We're right behind you. The new track, as we say, is our Irish, I Love Irish track of the week, and it's called Aside. Jay Pryor, it's lovely to chat with you. We'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, man.
Here we go. Music, lifestyle, entertainment, news, sports. iRadio. Live life louder.